Well, we'll just get started. We only have 2 people.
Okay, we can do it as we go. That's fine.
All right. Hello, folks. We're live, and it's Stout Sunday, which I think it should be called Porter Sunday when you think about it, because all stouts are porters, and we also bring in porters. So everything we review on this show is a porter. But anyway, that's not what it's called. John Anile, the host, is ill with a cold, and I hope he feels better. He asked me to take care of it, and I'm taking care of it. I'm here in Louisiana with Louisiana Stout Reviews, and Michael is the Stout King of Brooklyn, New York City, New York. And it's a chilly morning in Louisiana, but it's totally clear. The skies are totally clear blue, about 56 degrees and very low humidity, which is rare in Louisiana. We get about 45 days a year with low humidity and blue skies. All right. I don't know what the weather's like in New York City, but
I can check the temperature for you as we're sitting here briefly. It's cool for the first day of spring. Let's see what the temperature is here, just as a curiosity. It is 60 degrees, 56 degrees.
Same as here. So, well, there you go.
But we've had cold weather, so it hasn't been all good. Okay, so you have the famous Founders Breakfast Stout.
Yeah. Now, we had cold weather this winter also. This past winter, we got down to 28 degrees twice in my town for about 3 hours each time. So I know that's pretty impressive to you.
That's cold for Louisiana, for sure.
Well, actually cold for this part of Louisiana. Now, if you go to Shreveport or Monroe, which is in the northern part of the state, they have deep freezes every year. And in fact, they have even blizzards and snow. They have snow every year because they're further enough north. And
what's the ABV of the breakfast? Is it 8.3?
Anyway, people are like, why are you bringing up weather? All right. 8.3% alcohol.
I do remember some of this stuff.
I see that. And it's 60 bitterness units.
Okay.
And mine was bottled on October 5th of last year. And this label was controversial years ago, if you remember.
Yes, because it has the baby on it, and some states decided to say they would not accept the fact that your baby is going to be drinking stout in the morning, so you cannot put the label on. Okay, well, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Whatever. They don't have anything better to do than to start up with these companies and make them change their label. So let me show you what I have. Can you get Southern Tier in Louisiana?
We used to get Southern Tier in Louisiana until the year 2014 when it abruptly disappeared and it's never returned in 8 years.
Okay, well, this is their 2X stout, and it's a double milk stout at 7.5%. I've already poured it, and it's sitting here with its head declining as we speak. I guess when it's 7.5%, it has trouble maintaining a head.
Yeah, we're going to get right to it then. Let's see. I'm trying to look up their website, Southern. Now, Southern Tier is like Founders. They got bought out by a bigger outlet.
Well, they're bought out. It's funny. They're like, you've heard of these stories where you have these investors, groups of investors, venture capitalists, they call them. So there's a block of these venture capitalists who now are subsidizing Southern Tier, Victory, and 6 Point. So they don't own 100% of them, but they own us. They won't publicize what percentage they own, but they're definitely putting financial capital into these 3 companies. So it's not a total takeover, but it's at least enough of a takeover where they're affecting their business model for sure. And I can't say that I've seen the beers decline. All I'll say is I've seen in 6 Point's case where they seem to be changing the kind of beers they're brewing against how I personally feel. But look, I'm just one consumer. They're not going to care what I say. They just had an invisible hazy come out, which is obviously the opposite of a hazy, and I didn't think it was very good. This is a regular IPA, and I thought it was very average. So, 6 Point has had good beers through the years. I'm hoping that, this was just an aberration, but we'll see over time.
I think the investment group might have decided that they were overextended in their distribution, which is probably why they were suddenly pulled from Louisiana Victory and Southern Tier both immediately disappeared in 2014, almost like on the same day. So,
well, maybe that's the group decision that they didn't want to be in Louisiana anymore. They had venture. How about 6 Point? Can you get 6 Point there?
It never came here, and what happened there was they probably decided that they weren't going to expand to Louisiana.
Okay.
Even though it's brewed in Memphis, which is not far, 5.5
Well,
hours.
since this takeover, they're now being brewed in Pennsylvania at Victory site. So it's that Memphis thing was before the takeover.
Okay.
So now, if you look at their current cans, it's Brooklyn, New York, Victory, I think. What's their town? Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and another Victory brewery is the other one. So those are the three breweries now that the 6 Point comes out of. So they're using the common facilities to brew the beer.
Much like Dogfish had in Boston Beer Company.
Right, the same kind of deal.
Let me pop the cap here. I'm gonna pour it, and then I'm gonna do a screen share. John Annealy said he would like to do screen share, but he said whenever he does it, it kills his computer's memory speed, and then everything starts to lock up, so he can't do it. Now I had problems with my computer speed with doing other things on StreamYard. StreamYard uses up a lot of bandwidth. All right, here is the tan head in the dark brown appearance, basically black. But if I was sitting in the direct sunlight, it would not be black. It would be dark brown, and you'd see even some ruby highlights. Now I'm going to do a screen share if you don't mind.
No problem.
And we'll look at the website for a moment.
Tell me if you get any reverb from me, and I'll mute myself.
I will. And I haven't heard any in a moment, so hopefully it won't. Now, double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout. That's a mouthful, right? Double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout. 1, 2, 3, 4 adjectives. It's a stout, but it's a 4 times stout. 8.3, 60 IBUs, 270 calories. Folks, if you're on a diet and you're trying to lose weight, do not drink this. If you're trying to gain weight, drink this. It gets a 100 out of 100 on rate beer. Year-round availability. It used to be $2.20. Now it's jumped up to $2.99, but we won't even go into all of that.
Inflation, Jay, has hit beer as well as everything else, and I just think it's a cost of like doing business these days.
Yeah, people don't realize they're paying for their own incentive program. The Coffee Lovers Consummate Beer, brewed with an abundance of flaked oats, bitter and imported chocolates, and 2 types of coffee, which they don't bother listing. This stout has an intense, fresh, roasted Java nose, topped with a frothy, cinnamon-colored head that goes forever. Well, I called it tan head, but I guess cinnamon is tan, so no, I said beige. The cinnamon is sort of that color, so. And then they go, oh, wait, never mind. Ferris coffee and nut. Okay, so Ferris coffee and nut coffee. Okay, I spoke too soon.
It was lower in the description.
Then you can buy a T-shirt.
They have stout gear. You can get a cup and a T-shirt.
I have a piece of the carton that I cut off and hung on the wall, so I do have something hanging up on the wall. Okay, now stop sharing the screen. We'll try to do this share screen, which sometimes doesn't work. All right, now to get down to it, and then we're going to go to Michael, and then we'll go back to the real in-depth part. You can see the lacing is very thick. I haven't had this in over a year. I think it's been at least a year.
It used to be a beer that was regularly reviewed on Stout Sunday during the early times of Stout Sunday too.
Right, but then people moved on to so many other options.
Right. All the other stouts that Founders has. Founders has a bunch of other stouts beside that.
Right. And I figured, when I saw this on the shelf at Mathern's, I said, oh man, it's been a while since I reviewed this. It would be nice to bring it back. And I've been sitting on it for months. It was bottled in October. But at 8.3%,
it's good for a long time. Anything over 8%, you can sit on.
Yeah, that's not a concern at all. Well, the nose is what they said. It's coffee, chocolate, even coffee and cream. I don't know what viewers like to drink coffee with cream.
I'm a black coffee person, but however people like it.
I add milk to it. It smells like that dark roasted malt. That the oats for oatmeal. Yeah, I can see that with the oatmeal thing going. This is like one of the original old time flavored stouts when you think about it. They kind of like started it all. I guess Young's Double Chocolate Stout from England was one of the pioneers too. Got to bring them up. So cheers. Then I'm gonna cheers and take a sip. I'm not gonna review it. I'm gonna go to Michael and we're gonna do a screen share. So cheers and here we go. Now I'm gonna drag over to Michael.
Okay, so as I showed you the bottle, it's from Southern Tier. They're in Lakewood, New York, which is up in the western part of the state, a long way from me, probably 7 hours away by car. And it's their double milk stout. And this is what it looks like in the glass. If you can tell, the head has subsided to the point where it's just a little, I don't know, very narrow kind of, I would describe the color as mocha kind of color. So it's not a dark brown. It's kind of like a light kind of brown. And you can see the carbonation, maybe in this light you can't, but there's carbonation coming right up through the center of the beer. And let's get a nose on. Well, dark roasted malts, maybe some background chocolate, maybe some coffee as well. You can't smell the 7.5%, so that's a good thing. They don't have a brewing date on this when it was bottled, but it's best by the 4th of May, 5/4/22. So as you just discussed, this is 7.5%. I would assume this would hold up past the date that they say here too. You know, these Best Buys are pretty arbitrary anyway, the way they're set up. Certainly.
Yeah, if it's Miller Lite, yeah, you want to follow the date guidelines. Yeah.
Right. Or IPAs, you want to follow the date because the hops will fade. But on most porters and stouts that are in the 7.5 to 8% range and higher, I think you can always be safe in, sitting on them and waiting. All right. So Jay, can you read the thing since my vision isn't so great?
2X stout, double milk stout. So 2X means 2 times, like in a math problem. Milk stout, also called cream or sweet stout, is a stout containing lactose, a sugar derived from milk. Because lactose is unfermentable by beer yeast, it adds sweetness and body to the finished beer. Milk stouts have been claimed to be nutritious and were marketed as such in the early 1900s with claims that would make the FDA wince. One ad read, ideal for nursing mothers, for the healthy, for the invalid, and for the worker. Surely. I've seen all those old ads. They're probably true, but these days. Anyway, of course, we couldn't stop at a traditional milk stout. Ours is a double. In addition to our 2X line, and at 7.5% alcohol by volume, is every bit as delicious as it sounds. To your health. Food pairings, buttery and aged cheeses. So y'all can bring this on Beer and Cheese Tuesday. Spicy foods with beef and briskets. You can bring it on Food Friday. And chocolate cake, also for Food Friday. Let's see. They're giving aroma and flavor notes. Ale yeast, 2 varieties of hops, 3 types of malts, and lactose sugar. They don't give us the malt and hop varieties, but at least they're telling you. Year-round availability, unless you live in Louisiana. Let's see what they say. The Southern Tier Brewery. Let's see if they tell us about the company real fast. Looks nice. Big, like a little park outside where you can sit and drink.
The the conglomerate that's over the three
don't.
companies is called Artisanal Ventures. I'm sure it's not mentioned in any of their literature. It's kind of like, it's known, but they don't push it.
They don't push it because it's better to frame it as an independent craft brewery. Well, that makes sense, I guess they're figuring if you want to know more, it's your job to go do the research. Otherwise, it's a craft brewery.
Well, if you look on YouTube and looked up Artisanal Ventures, there are actually videos where at least Victory and Southern Tier are together with one of the venture capitalists discussing their future. So there is a YouTube video doing that. So that they're not trying to fool anybody. They just don't push it.
Right. They're not hiding it, but they're not necessarily showcasing it. So they have, now here's where it kind of lets you know what's going on. Here's their locations: Lakewood, New York; Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania; Cleveland, Ohio; Charlotte, North Carolina; and Buffalo, New York. Well, there you go.
Right. And if you think about it, you could look at them as a regional brewery, because if you look at where those places are, it's all, if you made a circle, it doesn't get at, it's obviously the one in North Carolina is a little bit off, but it's getting distribution in a geographical area. And I'm sure that you can get their individual beers in those markets too, in bottles and cans, which they have both of. Mine's a bottle, but they do canned beer as well.
Now here is, I got when I clicked on that location: one of a kind craft beer experience in the Queen City.
Okay, so do you see that? You see the different companies that they're at the bottom? There's 6 Point. There's 6 Point at the bottom with them. Is Victory there too?
Southern Tier, Victory, Bold Rock, 6 Point, and Southern Tier. Bold Rock is from Virginia, and they make a lot of lemonade flavored beers.
Okay, so that's part of their. That's part of the group. They're also investing in Bold Rock. So there's another company that they're investing.
Yeah, when I went to
on the website, you can see they at least list them all together. Their combined brewery strength, whatever. And if you put all three of them together, they would be a force, I guess, in numbers of
strength and numbers. It's really better, more efficient for these companies to combine because it can share ingredients and technology. And when I went to Virginia,
brewing facilities where they say, we'll brew a batch of this here now and take the other one and brew. They still are brewing at Southern Tier as well. 6 Point being in Brooklyn, where they house their main facility, was only basically used for experimental beers and when they did promotional beers at that location anyway. And that's why they were brewing it first in Pennsylvania and then in Memphis, where they were for a long time. At a big brewery in Memphis that contract brews.
Sort of like Samuel Adams, where if you go to Boston, that's a little showcase brewery, but their main brewing is done at other locations. When I went to Virginia on the way to your place last year, I found some Bold Rock at some local gas station because I had to stop to get gasoline, and I saw Bold Rock, and I said, "What is Bold Rock?" I didn't know what it was. So, without any research, I just grabbed them off the shelf. The price wasn't too high, and then I started reading about it, and I found out, oh, okay. Now I realize, as of today, I realize. You know what? Back in the summer, I don't think they were listed under this conglomerate. So Bold Rock.
I actually think you're right. This is the first I've heard of it, and I think you're probably right. So this may have been something that happened very recently, that they're involved with Bold Rock as well. So I think you're right. I don't think that's anything that was done before. So I think you're correct.
Right, but it's like the old saying: "Show me the money." And it's easy for you and I or other beer fans to say, how dare they sell out? It's evil. They betrayed everyone. But then the people saying that, how would they react to somebody wanted to give them a check for $20 million?
No, I understand it.
Now, personally, I could speak for you, Michael. I could, if somebody gave me a check for $20 million, that would come in handy in my case.
No question. The original brewer from Six Point, though, decided when it was sold to leave. So he left with the check, and he, in his agreement, it said when he could do more, he could set up his new thing if he wants to still get into it. You know, they don't want him instantly competing, so he had to wait a certain period of time. I haven't heard anything new from him, so maybe he's retired from beer now. I don't know.
That happened with Goose Island when they got bought. The original owner sold out to Anheuser-Busch, and then eventually he left. But you know, we got to remember this too. A lot of these companies started in the 80s, and they were started by guys who were in their early 40s, you know, getting into something new. Maybe what they were doing before wasn't satisfying or it didn't work out. So let's think, they were in their 40s in the 80s, then they were in their 50s in the 90s, then they're in their 60s in the 2000s, their 70s in the 2010s, and now a lot of these guys could be in their 80s by now. So it's easy to say, you know, keep going, but is it really that practical?
No, you just decide you've done all the brewing you want to do, and you turn it over to somebody else. And if there's nobody in your family who wants to run it, a lot of times, you know, they might leave it to a family member. They end up selling to a conglomerate instead, and then they take over and, you know, whatever. I mean, it's just part of.
For you and I, it's easier because we are more into the drinking side of it.
Right. That's true. As long as the product is tasty and you enjoy the flavor profile, that's all that counts. Well, let's get back to your founder's breakfast now.
It's a lot easier on the consumer end. Anyway, you can see some lacing, splotchy lacing left around the glass. Got that cocoa and oatmeal. The flavor, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Bitter chocolate, coffee, cream, dark malts, which mimic bread crust, dark bread crust. I say, other people would get angry with me and say, beer does not taste like bread. I say, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with you. You know, that's what it tastes like to me. Or some kind of like grain-based product, at least. Bitterness is there, but I think it's more from the char than the hops, honestly. If you see this, you might think the body's heavy. It's not heavy. Many stouts, and I know Michael knows about this, in your mind, you think it's going to be thick and syrupy and heavy. But when you taste the products, they're not. I got to mute Michael. The reverb's coming in, but you can unmute in a moment. The body, a lot of times, is almost approaching thin now. And in some cases, like with the recent little experience we had with Oscar Blues 1050, it was thin like a porter. My friend David went berserk when he tasted it 2 years ago. He was so angry. But stouts are not as thick as you may first believe. Now, are there some thick stouts? Yeah, there are thick stouts out there, thick body, but they're not that common. All right, so it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's bitter, but it's not too bitter. The flavors are bold, but to an extent, they're measured in a way. Founders does that, you know, like everything is like kind of kept in check. It's not like Boston Beer Company where everything is kept in almost a realm of blandness. I saw a Samuel Adams variety pack yesterday, and I said to myself, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy it just to taste two beers I've never had and to go through Samuel Adams again and one of their other common beers again. You know, I know what they're doing. But
did they still have the Sam 76 as one of the beers, or have they decided to give up on that?
I'd like to think that I was part of the group that influenced that change, because I said so many negative things about it that it suddenly, about 3 years ago, was rebranded as Sam's Wicked. And they redid the branding because I thought Sam's 76 was like so depressingly bland.
It was awful.
People were talking about, this beer's good. What are you talking about? I said, are you kidding me? I said, let me tell you something. I would drink Schaefer Light before I drank this. And Schaefer Light is bland and boring, but it's a light beer, and I can get a 30-pack for $18. I'm not paying craft beer prices for something that tastes like a light beer with no character and less character than a light beer. Oh, people got so angry. And I'm sorry, I got to call it like I see it. And I always tell people that. Yeah, Wicked Easy. That's what it's called, Wicked Easy. And I'm telling you, they tried to pawn that off on people in those variety packs. And I wouldn't buy the pack. I said, I'm not buying it because I'm not drinking that Sam 76. Well, I saw the variety pack yesterday, and I just wasn't doing it. I was not buying a whole bunch of beers that I had no interest in drinking so that I could try 2 beers that I was only marginally interested in, because I know what Samuel Adams beers are going to taste like. I know what they're going to taste like before I taste it. And I'm not against that. If I found a single, I'd buy it in a snap, a single. But I'm tired of the whole, like, it's sort of like a hamster running in a cage, like you're just running and you don't get anywhere. All right, anyway, so I like this beer a lot. And when I get back to, after Michael does this thing, I'm going to give a score. But do Founders beers taste one like the other? Yes, there is a house style for Founders. But their house style is much more appealing than, I won't say too much. All right, Michael.
Okay, so as we've just been discussing the Southern Tier 2X Stout, so the nose was roasted malt and coffee, and I couldn't smell any accelerated alcohol. I can't smell the 7.5%, but let's get a taste on it and see what it's like. Cheers.
Cheers. Enjoy your drinking.
Well, the taste follows. The coffee is the lead taste with the roasted malts. And I guess the difference between this, because it has lactose in it, there's a certain creaminess that you get in the taste profile that is really nice. And I like lactose in beer. And I don't know, some people think it's overdone. It does smooth out a beer pretty well, and they don't publish what the IBUs are on this one, so I'm not sure, but there is some bitterness in it as well. I think similar to what you're saying, the bitterness is more char than it is hops, the coffee and the roast. But the alcohol is really well masked. This tastes more like a session beer, which I guess is a good thing, because what they're doing is they're able to do a good enough job of the combination of the bitterness, and the sweetness is low, but there's a little bit of it to balance the bitterness. And it's a well put together beer. This could be one you could go back to as a moderate stout, because it is a little bit higher than, let's say, your 5.6% Guinness. So, it's a couple of points higher than that. And yet it's not anywhere near all those barrel-aged and more complex beers that you start getting. I mean, yours is only another point higher at 8.3, so it's in the same range. But there's a huge difference when you start getting into the 12s and the 13s and the 15s. And they brew stuff. Stouts can go up into the 17s and 18s. That worldwide stout by Dogfish Head, somewhere between 15 and 20, and I'm sure it's sometimes 18%. But it's almost like this is like a different realm of a stout. It's moderate, and yet it's very tasty. And I would recommend this one. I've always liked Southern Tier, and they have pretty wide range of beers too. They always talk about, that they have used multiple malts and multiple hops. A lot of times not describing them specifically, but at least telling you that they're pairing them or putting them in different groups and whatever. Let's see what let me get a finish on it too.
All right.
The finish again is the the roasted malts and the main profile of the beer, and it's solid throughout. I recommend this one if you can get it. I know you're not crossing state lines, Jay, searching for Southern Tier, but it could be available, not far away. Probably not. I don't think it has distribution in Texas or west of you either. So, I mean, it's probably, if it's available mostly on the more eastern coast states, I would think.
When I go on a road trip, if, like, say I'm driving and I say I have to go to the bathroom, I'll stop at a grocery store, because then I can go to the bathroom and then I can go look at their beer section. So you can get a pretty good idea when you stop at like Food Line in Virginia or something, and then you say, oh, okay, here's what's available. Or just stop at a gas station. A lot of these convenience stores have an incredible craft beer lineup, really.
Even the ones actually on the interstate. I know when we drove through Maryland and we got gas and I would go to the bathroom and you go and I'd look at just the ones that are on the interstate can have a terrific beer selection. You can be, surprised that they, but I guess it appeals to people who are traveling and they may decide to pick up a 6-pack here and there of something different.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'll tell you what, when I was coming back from Brooklyn, New York last summer, which was that trip was too fast. That was the problem. I did it too fast. But anyway, but that's the past. There's no use crying over spilled milk. But it was fun. It was interesting, But on the way back, so I had to go to the bathroom. I said, I got to stop. So I was in Tennessee on Interstate 40. So I stopped. Some out of the way. I mean, this is not like in the middle of any metropolitan area. We're talking about way out in the country. Stopped at some Marathon gas station, which is a huge company, Marathon. So I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I went in there, and then after that, I said, let me go look in their beer cooler. So I looked in there, and I was pretty shocked. I said, oh, they had Sierra Nevada Torpedo pint cans, 2 cans for $5, I think, or 2 for $4. I think it was 2 for $4. Well, you as well as you would have immediately bought that. As a good traveling companion. But I thought, oh, this is strong, But anyway, I couldn't help it. So I bought it. It's hard to pass up Torpedo when you see it for that price. So then I looked around in the cooler, a lot of ordinary stuff that you'd expect to see, Corona Extra, Bud Light, and everything like that. Then I saw this from Goose Island. It was called Beer Hug, not Bear Hug, Beer Hug. 9% in a 19.2 ounce can. And it was $2.89, or it might have been $1.89. It was like crazy prices. I said, oh, gotta buy it, So I brought that home and I cooled it down after a few days. Couldn't get over that. That was a great Imperial IPA. So the thing about it, if you're on a road trip and you got to go to the restroom, whatever, which you're going to have to do invariably, check out the beer section. You might be pleasantly surprised, and you actually might be pleasantly shocked. And I can back that up by experience. Anyway, we're going to do the scores now. Let's see the comments. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, that Farmer's Tan. Oh, I never saw that. Hello, Ronnie. Traveled to New York last year at the same time I was there. Hurricane Elsa was in effect. Oh, yeah. Don't even mention that. He got stranded at LaGuardia at 2 a.m. when my flight was canceled. Yeah, we got stuck on the bridge for an hour and a half. Where is what at, Jean?
What's Jean-Pierre asking you? I don't understand.
Yeah, where is this at? Where is what at?
Okay, I got you.
All right, I'm going to give my score. Now, you can unmute because I think that reverb went away. I'm going to give my score, but I want to show something. I'm not going to show. I'm going to read my review of the Southern Tier 2X. This was from October 25th, 2014. It's very fast because I write my reviews to read fast. Southern Tier 2X Stout has a medium cream. And you tell me if I did a good job. If I did not, tell me. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Southern Tier 2X Stout has a medium cream-colored head, a dark brown, almost black appearance with just a little bit of lacing left behind. The aroma is a wonderful mix of milk and cream or cream, dark roasted malt, and sweet bread crust. Taste is the same with low bitterness but high acidity. Mouthfeel is heavy and slick, and Southern Tier 2X Stout finishes wet and sippable. This is what I wrote nearly 8 years ago, so I don't know how you feel about that review, but I gave it a good score.
I think it's a really good review. I guess I got a little bit more coffee than you mentioned, but everything else you said is very close to what I said. Roasted malt, which you also mentioned, and did you give it a number? Was there a number rating in that or not?
I have to go back to it. Oh, Jean's talking about all the beers I found. In other words, he's just talking about all the beers I found in general.
Okay, that was just general.
Not specifically, yeah. Hello, Gooba. Yeah, I can go back to that. Let me go back to my history. I did give it a number. Let's see. I always give it you have to give it a number if you want to beer.
Because I'm about, after you give your number, I'm going to give my number, which I already wrote down.
I gave it about an A-, which to me I think is too low, but it's an A-. But I think if I revisited it, I would revise those numbers. But that was 8 years ago, so I was then.
So that would be like 92 kind of thing, an A-.
Yeah, and I have a feeling now that I would probably jump it up. I'm going to give my score real fast for the. Let me go to banners and we'll put in our information. I'm going to give a score for breakfast stout, 8.3%. I'm going to score this a 96 out of 100. If you hate this beer, I guarantee you hate stouts. You have the 2X Stout, right? It's called 2X Stout, right?
Yep, 2X Stout.
And
they're calling it a double milk stout.
7.5%. I'm going to give this a 96. If you hate this beer, I'm pretty sure you're going to hate all stouts that you try. And look, stouts are not for everybody. I understand. I get that. Beer is not like a totalitarian government where you have to agree with everybody else. If you like light beers, or if the only thing you like is flavored beers, that's fine. Drink what you like. Like Michael says, drink what you like. Doesn't mean I'm going to drink it though. All right. But anyway, Michael's going to give his score.
You know, my general macro procedure that I set aside when it comes to drinking what you like. I'm somebody who has never found a macro that I love. And yet, if people want to give them to me, I'm willing to drink them. I'm not silly. I have to admit, I do not bother with Schaefer Light, but that's a separate story.
Okay.
Bart Robinson is in the chat.
Good old Bart. Somebody asked me if I like Mexican stouts. I've actually never had a Mexican stout, so I cannot speak to that effect.
And it must be nice that Ronnie S. is at the pool now, because being in Florida in the middle of March is much different than being where you are or where I am, even though you could be very warm now, Jay. You could be 20 degrees warmer.
Yeah, but no, we don't really have pool. We don't really have swimming pool weather here until like June to September. After that, June, July, August, September, 4 months. That's it.
Well, Florida, you can swim in March for the most part.
Florida's a lot warmer because it's a peninsula hanging out in the Gulf. So, Schaefer Stout. Oh yeah, I would like to see that. Schaefer Light is fine if you like light beer. It's no better or worse than any other light beer, but it's not anything that you'd want to. To me, it's not anything that you would want to make a special mission to buy. Fat Bottom Knockout IPA. Well, see, Jean-Pierre, you should be on the hangout doing the...
He probably did not have a stout this morning, so that's why he's not appearing. I think he said before in the comments that he slept late, so maybe he just got up recently.
No excuse. Having a head cold is barely an excuse, but I'm just kidding. I did drink.
It's interesting, Jay, that none of the other regulars are appearing either. BC does make regular appearances as well. Jean, sometimes Robert. Robert, I think now, because is doing more work out in the field. So he's, doing geological stuff at oil wells and stuff. So he's busier. He may not be home, on every Sunday.
And
he's joined in the past.
Yes, and shockingly, people will put their career
ahead of Stout Sunday.
Yeah,
we can't understand that though. But it's just like it is. Okay.
They'll put their career or their livelihood ahead of doing a beer hangout, which, okay, everyone has their viewpoint.
And there are people in our group who would come if they weren't working, like Miscellaneous and Bumpy. They both work on Sunday, so they cannot appear. How about David Garlipede? When's he going to make his Stout Sunday first appearance?
Well,
I know you've talked to him about maybe coming over to your house and being your co-correspondent.
I actually talked to David yesterday morning. Well,
how's he doing?
David has given up drinking until at least Easter Sunday.
So he's on kind of a layoff period now for a little while. That's okay.
He thought that it wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of like cool it for about 6 weeks. And he said, did he want to drink a beer? Yes. Did he have a desire to drink a beer? Yes. He went to the air show yesterday at the Belle Chase Naval Air Station, just southeast of New Orleans. His brother was with him. He said his brother wanted to drink. Let's drink. Let's have a good time. He told his brother, no, I'm going to stick with this. I need to cool, sometimes it's a good idea to cool it, and so maybe after Easter Sunday he'll get back into it. Maybe not. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. You know what I'm talking about, Michael.
Everybody's got to do what they've got to do, and I would be a hypocrite if I put anybody down for being, different and changing up. And if you do not want to drink, that's a personal choice. Ronnie was going to join, but he decided to buy something else instead of Guinness.
Okay. Well,
look, joining Stout Sunday is a personal decision.
Right.
We're not putting any pressure on anybody to join.
Yeah.
If you join for a good time, grate a beer, drink it, and hang out with the guys and gals, because sometimes a female will come on, although it's rare. But
it's very rare. We need, like Rajay says, we need more women in drinking. I'm sorry, we need more women in beer reviewing. But you can say that, but you can't make people. It's like the old expression: you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Like, there are some women who do liquor reviews, wine reviews, beer reviews. It's not a whole lot. We would prefer if it was more. We've had some in the past that were here. They were like on fire to do it, and then it faded away. Not to name any names, but we know what we're talking about. But like Michael's saying, it's not a pressure thing. It's like, this is not like a prison camp where you can't leave.
We want you to come on because you're going to have fun doing it. So it's not
an obligation.
It's not, you're not forced to do it. We don't pressure you to do it. And it's funny with what's been going on. I guess part of the thing possibly with John is by moving to Massachusetts, it's pressured his body, because when you move from Atlanta to Boston area, it's going to take an adjustment period before your body gets used to, whatever. Maybe he'll have a few more colds in the winter and the spring. And then maybe, once the spring gets warmer, he'll be fine. but it's like it's a transition when you move north. Because I'll tell you, he's going to be there, ongoing, because Caitlin's there and he's having a good time and spending more time with Bumpy and the other PC, Eric. So it's cool, but I guess your body has to adapt to the difference in the climate. It does affect you for sure. And then we had the COVID stuff because he did have COVID. So, I mean, it's like everything together, it all has a way of working out. And we're hoping that we're hearing the last of COVID, but they're saying in China it's ramping up. Now, I don't know. Again, you can't believe all the hype. So we have to just watch in our individual situation and see what happens.
Yeah,
Wings and pizza. He's talking about lay off for a while, meaning take a break from your beer like David's doing.
I saw a report on CBS News on the hour overnight this morning at 4 a.m. and it said that there is a new variant in Europe, but they said that the hospitalization is almost zero. So yeah,
so
people,
it's mild. Whatever it is mild. Relative.
They're getting it, but it's like saying, "Oh, I have the sniffles." Well, how do you feel? Fine. So I mean, it's like I told you earlier off air. The more people get used to it, the better their ability to deal with it. If you feel like you can't control it, then it's time to lay off for a while, boy. You can't argue with that.
All right, so let me give my number so you can post it, and then we can continue to talk.
Right, hold on. And then I said, my response was, if you're taking a pill that the doctor gave you to stop the drinking, that's a sign.
That's true.
All right, now Michael's score.
Okay, so I am going to, like the 92 that you gave it 8 years ago, I'm going to go up 3 points and give it a 95. It's definitely a solid A. It's not world class by any stretch, but it certainly is an A beer, and it's highly recommended. If you do see it, pick it up. I think you'll find it, to be a really good tasting beer, and one you can go back on with. Like I say, you can't taste the 7.5%, so it's pretty mild. Tastes more session worthy, but I recommend it, and hopefully people can get Southern Tier and try it.
It's so frustrating for me, because I wrote that review 8 years ago, and I kind of remember, I have some recollection of drinking it, but I drink a lot of beers every week. You know that,
right?
So to say, oh, and then I have people that will make comments on my channel like, well, in 2011, you said this beer was a blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but that was like 11 years ago. All right. I move on. Like I drank that obscure IPA that I found once in my life and I moved on, so it's like, just to make that comment is strange, really, that people make their comment, but.
Because if you look at your history and you look up Louisiana beer reviews, you can get anything. I think it even goes back before 2011. When did you start?
November 2010.
Okay, so from 2010 on, so we're talking about you're going into your 12th year already. You have thousands of reviews you've done, and you have to look at them individually. But your older ones are J. Terrio at a lower range because you didn't know as much about beer then. As time goes on, you get more in the know, and your reviews are getting better. Just the way it goes, the way things are, you can become better.
I hope they're getting better, but back then, I was drinking, even when I started drinking, doing the beer project in February of 1996. I tried everything, like I would drink everything, so, but it's hard to say, oh, well, I was in 1996 in March, I drank a beer. So now, oh, people say, well, you said it differently in 1996 in March. Well, yeah, because I'm still trying to process through it. I'm going through, it's like a hobby. It's like an ongoing thing. I don't worry about it, but other people seem to be obsessed with it, Yep. Jean-Pierre, I've been watching you since I first saw you, which was probably then, 2015. All right. Anyway,
that was the year I met you in 2015.
Met me in person, but you knew me.
No, I was following you before. I was following you well before that, but that's the year that I actually physically met you and Giant Space Monkey on the same day in June of 2015.
Yes, and Mati and
Mati as well. It's funny. He's in Las Vegas now on business with his wife.
He was a very pleasant person. I wish I could have gotten to know him better, but you know how that goes.
It's weird. He's somebody who during the pandemic has actually done better. He's like a wholesaler, so he does a lot of stuff to supermarkets. Supermarkets have done very well through the whole pandemic. The food suppliers.
Oh, well, people ask me, did you suffer during the pandemic? I said, anyway, you think every industry suffered during the pandemic? Wrong.
No. And again, we would like, as we were talking about before, we'd like some of these inflation situations we're in to kind of get better. But so Friar Tuck asking about Giant Space Monkey. He's definitely still around. I associate with him, but he's very low key now. He's kind of keeping to himself, it seems. But we do stuff twice a month. He comes to my house twice a month, and we do beer tasting. So he's into the scene still.
Yeah, he's down the street from Michael, but he's across the country from me. So,
he's definitely more low key as far as internet involvement, though. I don't think he comes on anything else.
No. He used to make comments on my channel 2-3 times a week. Now you'd be lucky if it's 2 or 3 times a year.
He still watches it. He just is more low key now, I think, is the story. But
okay. I'm glad he's still watching. Well, anyway, now it's the time where we're about to close out, and we're going to do the show and tell. So hold on, if you can hold on a moment, I'm going to go get a few things to show you.
Okay, you can do it, and when you do come, then I can go get something else to show. But it's funny overall, as far as this whole Stout Sunday show, I have been John's co-host since the beginning of the show, which I guess we're probably in our 3rd year already of doing Stout Sunday, and I think it's been pretty good. I mean, we actually have had probably almost a full group a couple of times, but for the most part, it's 2, 3, 4 people, and just discussing stout and porter beers that they find and giving descriptions. And I think it's been pretty overall. I think it's been a successful show, and Jay has taken over at least a couple of times when John hasn't been able to. Alex the Beer Master has hosted as well. I haven't seen much of Alex the Beer Master either, but he does do his Food Friday show, which I have never attended. But Friday is not a good day for me to be on a show. It just seems Friday doesn't work out well.
I've never attended, and he might think that it's some kind of personal, but it's not, because I don't like to eat a lot on Friday nights. And if he did it, I told Alex, I said, if you did this hangout on Friday afternoon at 3, I'd join,
Right. So Friday's not a great day for me either, but he's another person like you who has been hosting Stout Sunday when John was unable to. So, and right. You're the only 2 hosts I can think of. Maybe Jeremy did it once, way back in the past.
Way back. But all right, now, so breakfast stout, a sure winner. You can't go wrong with that. So
got it.
It'll be back again in a few years. You never get tired. This is the kind of beer that you could drink it every day. You would literally never get tired of drinking it. I wouldn't. You might. I would not.
It's one of their flagship beers. I don't think they would call it their individual flagship, but it's one of them.
Right. Okay, let's see. A few more comments. Scamdemic, right? I coined that term. Don't steal my material. Mad respect for you too. Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Walmart did they sure did. They never ran out of anything, oddly. I know a lot of companies use the scamdemic as a reason for crap service or products. Right, but they had crap service and products before that. Mom and pop were not essential. Okay, well, Ronnie was pushing this agenda earlier today. All right, let's see. I may not see eye to eye with Ronald, but definitely respect him and Michael's opinions. That's the funny thing about this. You don't have to see eye to eye with everybody like some kind of fanatic, just to get along with them, But some people don't agree with that. All right, now, as far as I did a lot of shopping yesterday, I about wrecked my budget, but my budget's still intact for this month, but it's close to being wrecked. But I think Michael, if he came down to Louisiana, he would start to realize why I have to deal with this. But
I probably would go crazy in the liquor store too, where you get all your good liquor buys, and I'd load up my car to come back with it.
I went crazy. So I went to Trader Joe. I went to Trader Joe's yesterday. I went to a lot of stores yesterday, but I went to Trader Joe's, and for $4.99, I saw this, and I thought, oh, I can't resist. I can't.
I've never seen that before.
I surely never saw it before.
If that's in my Trader Joe's, I'd buy at least one, maybe two.
$4.99. It's called Cracklin' Clapper Barley Wine Style Ale with caramel malts and Cascade hops. It's made in Wisconsin by a company called Campanology. We know them. They're Octopi Brewing. They do contract brewing. They only do contract brewing. They don't make their own beers. But this 22-ounce bottle, this bomber, is 9% alcohol, folks. 9%.
Wow.
And for $4.99, then you can't resist. You can't resist.
That's a steal. That's a steal.
You can't resist. All right, so I bought that. Should have bought more than one. Then, so I went to another place called Dorgnac's. Dorgnac's has, if you saw their craft beer selection, you just go crazy. But you better have a lot of money. So I was looking, and they have some stuff that's so expensive. It's like $12 a can. I'm not paying $12 a can for most stouts. But this one's called Whiteout Milk Stout with maple, coconut, and graham cracker. It's 8%, and I think this was $3.99 or $4.99. Whiteout, never heard of it before.
Who's the company that brews it? Who's the brewer?
Well, it's called Blaze Brewing Company in Biddeford, Maine.
Never heard of them.
I said, well, we don't get too many beers from Maine, first of all. So when I saw this, I couldn't pass it up. There's no way I could pass it up.
Allagash is from Maine.
I know, but we don't get it. So I had to buy this. And then I was looking around. Oh, I can't show you everything I bought. It would take another hour. Unbelievable. Now,
you're just giving me the highlights.
Some of the highlights. So then I went to Rouse's, which is a huge chain. Jean-Pierre knows about Rouse's. So I'm looking around, trying to control my budget, and I saw this. It was a full-size bottle for $7.99. Then I can't resist. 80 proof, brewed in the distilled in the Caribbean. It's called Boqueron Caribbean Gold Rum. And it's got this rope around the bottleneck. It's an actual rope. It's not like paper. It's real rope.
I like the shape of that bottle. That's an interesting shaped bottle.
Yeah. So I said, Boqueron. I never heard of this, So for $7.99, there's no downside. You're getting a full bottle of rum. It's clearly not colored. It's the natural color, so light. But I started researching it, and I know that Boqueron means anchovy. I said anchovy rum. What a name, in Spanish, anchovy. But so I had a pretty exciting day yesterday, I have to admit. But those are the really fun days. Now Michael's going to take over.
All right, so I'll be back.
All right, Michael's going to. Let's look at the comments while he's going to get his showcase. Let's see. Ronnie says, I don't care if I see eye to eye with anyone. That's no reason not to be friendly. I know that. I agree with that. But some people are insane and mad. Oh, you just did that ale? Trader Joe's from me is about 28 miles. So I don't go there too often because 28 miles is 28 miles. Cheers to you, Craig. I'll pay $4 a bottle for craft beverages. I will too, within reason. Great show, guys. Thank you, Ronnie. I never heard of them, Ron. I do love Shipyard. I love Shipyard. Oh, I was so heartbroken when Shipyard stopped showing up around here. Louisiana gas, it's expensive, $4.09 a gallon. Disgusting, you know. Now Michael is going to show us some things. It's got a mute though going on.
Mute myself. This was a purchase from the food co-op. I don't know if Jay, do you get Flying Dog?
No, never.
Okay, Flying Dog is out of Frederick, Maryland, in the Washington suburbs. So this was a 12-pack, so 3 of each of these 4 items, and I'm going to show you the 4 beers I got. And for the most part, I've had everyone except the sour, and they've all been average plus. This is a stout, which I will potentially do on a Stout Sunday, called Peppermint Bark Stout from Flying Dog. And it's stout with chocolate and chocolate mint natural flavor. And we know what natural means, but it doesn't make any difference.
Well,
we'll see how natural it is, but it doesn't matter. That was 8.1. Then they have Cinnamon Pecan Blonde, which is a blonde ale, and this is 7.1% alcohol. And this is all from the Snow Plowed Hibernation Pack. Then they have let's see what the ABV on this one is. At 7.5, a black hazy IPA, which is a Cascadian dark ale.
Yeah.
At 7.5%. And the last one, which is the only one I have not tried, is an apricot sour at 6.2%.
Were those extreme?
This was a really good deal. And the reason it's a really good deal is the one thing that's about the food co-op, they'll lower their prices, especially if the beers are getting close to the date that they're best by. So I'm not concerned with the peppermint stout at 8.1. That'll go well past the date, they say. I'm not concerned even about the black IPA with the hops. And that, I think, goes until the end of April. But the other ones were all, like the end of March. But it's still only a 12-pack. So I gave one of the peppermint bark stouts to my daughter and her fiance to try, because my daughter likes peppermint a lot. So I figured she would like that one. Hopefully the sour is good. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm happy with it. And the whole 12-pack was $12.50. So that's, you certainly can't beat it. So the co-op will move beer if they figure that otherwise people are going to look at them and say, why are you selling beer that's good best by March and we're in April? So they'd rather, let's say they don't make as much profit on it. I'm sure they're making profit even at this price, but this would normally probably be kind of more in 6-pack for $10 range, maybe, $1.60 each. So they sell it for $1.04 and they move it. And I gave one of the cinnamon pecan blondes to another friend. So I do give beer away. And I want people to try the stuff that I've tried, which I've liked. And as far as I know, Flying Dog is a wholly independent country, not subsidized or bought out or
wait.
By anybody.
You said an independent country. You mean an independent
company.
See what happens when we drink too much stuff.
Because it's funny. We were talking about on one of the beer sites yesterday, and I think Ronnie S. and you and I were on, and the Ukrainian action or whatever's going on, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Intervention, whatever it is what it is, and it doesn't matter. But it's not a country, it's a company, and we do the best we can. That's all we can do at this point.
Yes, and talking about countries, next month, April, is the 40th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth signing the Canada Act, which gave Canada the right to change their own laws without permission from the British Parliament, which is amazing when you think it's only 40 years. 40 years, which is most people's lifetime. But anyway, police action, yeah. All right. So Michael found a great deal, and I'm like Michael. If I lived close to the co-op, I would just hang around there and wait to everything to go on sale, and I'd scoop it up. I would just wait around for everything to go on sale and scoop it up. You could make a career out of that, you know.
Their regular prices, I would say, they're not full retail, but they certainly do make a lot of money on their regular prices. But they're not bad. But when they mark stuff down, sometimes it's almost scary. And I'd like to do sometimes volume, but you've met Audrey; she just gasps, and
yeah,
you know,
and yeah, well, you got to deal with what the situation.
No, I'm just saying. I've seen stuff as low as a quarter a beer. That's the lowest I've ever seen. That was a while ago. That wasn't in recently, but that was a while ago. But a lot of times it'll be 52 cents a beer, which in this stage with craft beer is pretty good if you think about it. So and these, like I say, are double that, but they realize it's quality beer. And it has to be the dating is why they're marking it down. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
Right. And Michael, you've seen those insane deals I've gotten at Mathern's.
And also, how about the insane deals you've gotten on spirits in the place that everybody says, Robert says they must drop it off in a truck. They just how can they sell stuff and make money on it at some of those prices?
Madness. It's madness.
No, really. And you've had Walmart stuff that you've bought also, which has been amazingly reasonable for spirits as well.
Yeah, $5 a bottle, stuff like that.
I'm saying so that those have to, at least for them, be loss leaders. Maybe they're just willing to take a loss on one thing if you come into their store and buy a bunch more stuff.
Right. And as we close out, in Louisiana, it's technically illegal to sell any alcohol lower than cost, but that's clearly not enforced.
Right.
Because there's no way.
Jay, thank you very much for hosting today in John's absence.
You're welcome. And I'll be back soon for Stout Sunday. I hope John feels better. And we have some fun.
You did not plug your spring beers for Wednesday, but you can.
I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, spring beers. Okay, so Wednesday, our theme is, if anybody wants to join, if I'm alone, I'll do it alone. It's beers for spring. Oh, I'll show y'all what I've got. I'll show you real fast, and then that's it. I promise we're closing out.
It is now officially spring, everybody, so you can get out and travel around. Check things out.
So like I said, I was shopping around, and I found this, and I thought this would be an excellent spring beer.
Definitely. Strawberry lager. Very nice. From Abita.
Very low alcohol, a good beer. A lot of strawberry harvesting in Louisiana this time of the year. End of winter, beginning of spring. Good morning to everybody. And Michael, thanks for joining. Walmart does have more selection than you think. You're right. All right. Thanks to Jeremy for watching. Thanks to James P. Madonna, Bart, Ronnie S., and the whole group. Thanks to Michael for joining. It was a great hangout. And yeah, I know, Jean. I didn't see Strawgator for a good price, though. I didn't want to pay exorbitant price for a single can or bottle. Sorry. All right. But maybe in a week. All right. Y'all take care now. And thanks for watching.
Have a good week.
You too, Michael.
Take care.
You too.